Good afternoon. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the community keyword. We always focus on community. All right, so we're here back with our podcast. Of course, introduce myself, Clive, um, known as I said, number one content creator from the Virgin Islands.
Oh, is that self-inflicted?
Hey, you got it. You
A
got to do what you got to do for
self-dubbed?
yourself. And of course, we got. Go ahead, Noreen.
This is Noreen Foy, and I am the host and creator of the Save Our Sisters Unplugged podcast, the podcast that is all about resilience and strength, where my mission is to uplift women of all ages and help them tap into their strength so they can walk in their purpose. This is Candid Conversations with Clive and Noreen. I'm a little extra.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm trying to get one thing ready to go. Boom. Okay. So first off, I want to apologize, guys. Our special guest for today had a family emergency, so he will not be with us today. Well, of course, we're still going to continue with the topic, which is I'm gonna say candy conversations, which is content creators. So as you can see from our last time, we've kind of been like dwindling on different topics, but we kind of keep it in the realms of minorities, African Americans, and different minority groups, right? So we're kind of keeping that part of it the same. So the subject for me is one second, guys. I need to change something. Noreen. Oh no, I'll change it later on. Is content creator, right? So that's always been a subject for me in relations to what I do, what Noreen does, what some of our friends do. Is it's in that realm of content create. As a content creator, you content create. So you're creating content, right? It doesn't matter if you're streaming. It doesn't matter if you're just having a regular podcast where you talk about a particular topic, or if you're a video blogger, anything, any type of thing you're capturing. You could be a photographer, someone that takes pictures, right?
Yep.
You capture that moment. You come back home or to your studio or whatever it is, and you make edits. So it's kind of in that realm of what we say in the realm of content creating, right? So
Absolutely.
that's something dear to me because I got into the content creator world. I would say, what, 2 years now? Is it two? Two. Well, 2 years. Let me say. Last year, I would say year before, close to September, October timeframe. Is when I officially dabbled into officially content creating, right? Prior before that, everyone knows me of someone that's into music, produce music, play music, whatever you want to call it. Of course, back home, I was mainly known as the individual that played drums, right? And trumpet in school. So, but never understood or thought I would get into the live aspect of being in front of a camera or cameras and talking to people around the world. It's like never thought about it. So if kind of fast forward into our first episode was we're talking about mental health, right? Um,
Yep.
that was the main thing why I got into content creating, right? It was for me personally as creating that quote unquote safe haven, that bubble outside from the world noise type of stuff, right? And the more and more I got into it, the more and more I say try to understand the concept of content creating. I realized it's something that I like. It was something that I needed for myself to kind of unwind from the craziness of the world, right? So that's when I started meeting individuals like the special guest we had was going to have. He's one of the main ones that kind of sparked my interest in getting into the content creating slash people say streamers, right? Um, and I realized the realm of streamers, it's less of us. If you catch what I'm saying, it's less African American, less whatever you want to call it in that realm. It's always dominated on the Caucasian side of thing, which is nothing wrong with that. It's just to get a better understanding what it is, you kind of have to like look at people and try to ask different questions. And he was the main one that was there that what was I saying? Get into the content side. So a lot of questions I used to ask him, and he always said it, especially when he went live, is always ask questions, and he's willing to answer. So that's when I started learning about Discord. So Discord's been around for a long time, right? And Discord is what a lot of content creators or whoever uses those realms or channels where they can communicate with each other, communicate with the community, and if anyone has questions, they kind of do that stuff. So fast forward, I learned about Discord and kind of look into that type of thing where I'll ask questions. Okay, so
Mhm.
need what type of equipment you need, and do you need expensive stuff or stuff like that. So those are the questions I used to ask him. But he had a big niche about quality, right? So a lot of content creators, a lot of streamers will get into streaming, and he's very blunt. He's very and he's cool like that, right? So he will get in there and ask different questions and say, "Hey, if you're serious about this, the main thing you need to focus on is your quality, right? And then you can work on everything else after. And but you always want to keep growing and being more um want to better yourself. Every time you
Mhm.
want to go live, find out what stuff you need to fix from the previous stream and try to improve on that. So that's how I got into where I'm at now is like, okay, I have to make sure my sound is good. I have to make sure my lighting is good, make sure my video quality is good, right? Those are things. So in the end of the day, eye capturing, right? So
Right.
it's more to this just going live. You have to come up with your subject line, what you're going to do. Or in this case, for me, I do the podcast and I do streaming on games, right? But it's just more of this. It's more to just, I'm just going to go live and just sit here and don't say nothing. You still have to capture the audience. You still have to
Yeah.
have them want to come back and stuff like that, right?
And that's
But
how I kind of got started as well. I hadn't been started for too long. Started out in 2021.
mhm,
And the thing is, with me, I like to have things perfect right out the gate. Now, my limited knowledge of podcasting when I first started the Save Our Sisters Unplugged podcast um, was that Anchor says all you need is your phone. You can record from your phone. And then I started a couple of episodes and I listened to it and I was like, well, it's okay. And so my husband was like, well, use this, use that, And so just from start to finish, like if you listen, you can hear in my beginning episodes, you can see the growth as you listen to all the current episodes, that the sound quality and even the way I do my intros, my outros, and the content. I knew what I wanted to talk about. I knew what my niche was going to be. It was going to be empowering women, and I had a list of topics that I wanted to discuss on my podcast. And
mhm,
so going into it all, I just went in with like this open mind that, yeah, this is going to be amazing. I have 1,000 friends on my Facebook page. So that means my first episodes, I'm going to have 1,000 downloads. Not the case. Not everybody is into it, And so going in with that limited knowledge, I think I guess yes, I was definitely a little naive to when I came into it and going into that limited knowledge. I did okay, but as I started to get more into it and as I wanted to grow more, I didn't want
mhm.
people to focus on, I don't even know about this. Like I don't want to listen to a podcast because I don't like how it sounds. And I was like, okay, I don't want the people to focus on what it sounds like. I want them to
Yeah.
focus on what I'm saying. So, I got my guests lined up, and then I was like, okay, well, let me just go out to Best Buy and see what Best Buy has. And so I went to Best Buy and got all the things. And so, you have to have the interface, I mean, you don't have to have a super expensive microphone,
No, you
you
don't.
know. Yeah, I had the Nano Yeti, I had that. That was my first microphone, outside of like just a regular stand-up microphone. I plug it into my laptop is fine. And that was even before I got the interface. But now I have the interface. I have a great microphone with the boom on it and what do you call this thing?
The I forgot what it called, but it helps with your P's and S's
Yes.
and yeah.
My physical de-esser.
Yeah.
And so, you just learn when you're on your journey, you just learn as you go, and through listening to other people's podcasts and then getting into different groups, you learn a lot of things and people share free information with you. And of course, you ask the questions. And I think one of my earliest experiences when I first started with content creation, I had an issue with some technical difficulties in one of my episodes that I just could not fix. And I reached out to a group, and then folks would DM me to say, "Hey, I saw that you was having an issue with this. Let me, for $50, I can go ahead, send me your file, and I can go ahead and fix it." And I'm like, "Listen, I'm not, first of all, sending you my file. I'm definitely not paying you, stranger." So it was just a lot of that was going on at the time. And you quickly learn, like, even if people are offering stuff, it's like, do you really want to send them your content?
Yeah, it's I was like that too, right? So you kind of look at you have to do your research and don't go into it blind and thinking like, "Oh, I got this." But it's an ongoing learning process on a day-to-day basis.
Hmm.
Is hey, how you doing? Is my knowledge base way better than how it was back in the beginning? Yeah. Can I give advice to people? I can. Um, but I'm not gonna go into it acting like I know everything. I
Right.
always try to learn. And one key thing I've always tell people, if you get into the content side of things, especially on streaming like this, doesn't matter if it's you're reviewing funny videos or you're reviewing documentaries or podcasts or gaming. I've always tell people go back and watch your past content and see if you can find anything you can improve on.
Hmm.
Um, and one thing I struggle a lot with was mic sound.
Yeah.
So for some people, it sounds great, but for someone that's really in tune, you can tell if you're hearing too much background noise, if your gate is too set too high, or there's a lot of different your compressors and stuff. Once you get into the technical part of things, right? So it's to me it's fun, and then the video part of it. I could show my old videos from back in the day where you can barely make out anything on the screen compared to now, right? It's
Yeah,
like
that's just growth.
it is. So it's like so the more and more I got into it, it's like I want to see more of um a variety of different content creators, right? So if those of you know that's big on Facebook, what's his name? Stone Mountain is one of the biggest individuals on Facebook, right? Fits our partnership. But it's
Mm,
like you have all these hundreds and hundreds of content creators, right? But even though you might sit in one of the biggest content creators stream that's holding 2 point something thousand people at one time, he or she may not capture what you want to see, right? You might watch him
right.
for a little bit and then you get bored, right?
Yeah.
So that's the part of it of when you come to the quality side of things, the visual aid, your sounds, and be able to communicate with people and talk back with them and kind of capture them to stay and give them a reason to stay, give them a reason to follow, give them the reason to share.
Hmm.
So that's the part you have to work on. So that's what I said, the quality aspect, build your storyline in your mind. Okay, what can I do today or tonight and that I can build my community on, help my community grow. But the thing for me, I don't focus too much. As I said, each person is different. I don't focus on it too much. My end goal is how can I help at least one person feel better about themselves from my stream?
Yeah. And when you came to me with your idea for this Candid Conversations podcast, I love that you wanted to just really focus on men's mental health,
Yep.
or even mental health in the Black community or mental health as a whole, because mental health is one of the things that is not really talked about. It's not something that you can see. And so people say, oh, it's mind over matter. It's not mind over matter.
It's
So when you're
more to
creating
that.
content around what you want to say about that, you have to be very strategic about how you really present that. Because not only do you want to give the facts and share your stories, you want people to really dive in and say, okay, you know what? I was gonna listen for just 5 minutes and get out, but let me hear what Clive talking about.
Yeah.
He sound like he did his research.
And that's all about, though. It's like, as I said, sometimes you don't even want to get on. You don't have the drive or sometimes the mental drive, right? Or the energy
Hmm.
to even do anything. But I can tell you for me, sometimes those are the times you have to get on, right? And after a while, you start engaging with your peoples, they sometimes lift you up, even though you're not feeling your 100, right?
Exactly.
They have sometimes I get on, it'll be nobody online, nothing, nobody. But it's like I've learned to you always treat your community as they're there, right? Have the conversation, and that's stuff I used to struggle with. I'll be sitting there sometimes doing my thing and wouldn't say nothing, right? Let's
Yeah.
see. I'll speak. Go ahead and read that, Noreen. Um, it's like, but it helps a lot though. But it's like it's my medicine. So like for me, music is my number one, right? And then the content side of things is my number two, right? But
Hmm.
if you watch any of my streams, the first at least 2 to 3 minutes, I'm playing music. No ifs,
Yeah.
no buts about it, right? So it's like that's
Yeah.
me psyching myself up, getting ready
To get
for
in a
me to go
headspace.
exactly. So
We have a comment here online from Tamandra. It says, speaking of mental health, how do you feel about people seeking professional help? And how do you feel about utilizing unorthodox help? Which I think we probably need to dive into what kind of unorthodox help you're referring to. So you want to go ahead and take that question, Clive?
sure, let me see.
Because I know how I feel about people seeking professional help. I think everybody needs to seek professional help because we all need to have someone to help us through all our daily struggles. I mean, like you said, sometimes you have to really pull yourself out of the dungeon, so to speak, out of that dark place to even engage with people.
Yeah,
And I think a lot of people actually went in the dungeon when COVID hit, and some people are still trying to find their way out of that. So I say, yeah, I'm all for it. I'm pro professional help for sure.
I'm
A
as
thousand percent.
yeah, definitely for me. I've as me guy person I can say that I have seek personal help. I've done it before. Now there's some caveats to it, is just don't try to I spoke to someone earlier about it, where you have to find the glove that fits or the shoe that fits, right?
Hmm.
That's to me, that's I want to say the negative side. It's slightly a negative side of when you're trying to seek professional help, right? So, as I said before, do your research, right?
Hmm.
Try to understand. Some people might ask someone else that they know personally to have, seek professional help, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But each person's point of view is different, right?
Yeah.
So they have a new thing now. I say it's new. It's being pushed more online counseling, online therapists,
They call it
versus
telehealth. Telehealth.
yeah. And then they got the old school where you can actually go sit and meet somebody and stuff like that. But I would say go online first and look up the type of therapist you're looking for, right? And then I've always have this caveat is narrow down to five. Then do your research on all five. See if you can get reviews on all 5, because it's all available. Yeah, everything's online now, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
once you narrow it down
absolutely.
to that 3, then you'll say, okay, down to 3, is the 3 online or 2 online and 1 online and other is physical? So it's up to you. How do you want to drive to this person on a regular basis? Or you do want to set it up where you can do it online from your phone or from your car or whatever, right? Which makes it more convenient for a lot of us that's in busy careers, right?
Right.
So I said, go ahead and seek it, right? And she said, some people seek. That's true. It's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with that either way, but
Yeah.
I would still
Or even
say
support groups. I think that's what she's talking about, like-minded individuals that have common issues. I totally am for professional help. I
mhm,
mean, whoever your spiritual practitioner is, by all means, but I think, and especially support groups, and support groups, I think is really helpful because then you physically have other people that you can lean on, that you can see that, okay, I'm not alone. They have also went through all these things. And so we're all going through this together. So they don't feel like they're in the struggle together. They actually have like a network of people that can actually pull them through it when they're down. You
true.
know, I personally have not been to a support group per se, but I've definitely sought private help because I think it's worth it.
It is. I've done it a few times myself. It helped me in in ways? Yes, it has. You have to be willing to seek the help and want the help.
The first step
Um,
is admitting that you need the help.
Admitting there's nothing wrong with that. I don't, and I can say this as it is candid conversations. You know, I'm blunt now. I don't care what you think about me, how you feel about me, knowing I seek professional help. It's nothing to do with you. It's all
Right.
about me to make sure I'm good from me,
Exactly.
and that's it. Because people like as we remember our first episode, we talked about culture.
Hmm.
That my friend, that shit sucks. It is what it is. But it's like as I got older and I went through things, and even like last year when I was home for a while, it's like it I was able to slow down and start
Yeah.
understanding things better. And it's
Yeah.
like I looked at myself and I was like, I'm not happy with myself. It's nothing against nobody else. I was like pointing fingers. The quickest thing is point fingers. It's your fault. It's your fault. But at the end of the day, you still have to control yourself and try to figure out what do I need for me to be better. You know what I'm saying? And once you understand
Absolutely.
yourself, start,
Unapologetically too.
yep. And once you start understanding yourself, believing in yourself, and loving yourself, then that shows to other people. Some people may not like that. But end of the day, I don't care. My
Because it ain't about them.
responsibility,
It's
yeah,
your journey.
yeah, my responsibility is for me. And that's it.
Exactly. I
So,
completely agree with what you're saying, and I think if more people would actually just really um, pull people to the side and say, hey, you know what? I see you're going through something. Do you want to talk? Is there something I can help you with? Even
yeah.
if you don't want to talk to me, do you need help finding a therapist? Because I think now we might be a little more conscious of recognizing the signs of when somebody needs that help you
Mhm.
know and I know a lot of people don't want to get involved in other people's business, which they shouldn't, but if they see someone having some kind of a mental health episode, I think we should
Yeah,
step in, and the first thing is to make sure that the person is okay.
true. But yeah, it's like, believe it or not, that question helps a lot of people more than you
Yeah.
think it does. Because
And
sometimes that person just wants to be seen or be heard. Let me see, but being heard, knowing that okay, someone actually cares. So y'all, it's
exactly.
it's it's like a mental check in. Are you okay? How are you doing? But be genuine with it and be real with it because people can tell if you're being real with it or not. You know.
Absolutely. And there's a question here. Have you brought seeking professional help to family members? If so, what was their reactions? I don't know if that question is for you or I, but I'm going to go ahead and answer. And I said, The one family member that I would have brought that to is no longer. But I don't have a problem going to like a trusted family member. But if she were here, she would definitely be down to helping me out. I have some faith sisters that are not blood that I can turn to when I do need that help, or, my spouse, he would say, okay, you need some time, let's go somewhere,
Hmm.
let's do something, what do you need? What do you need from me? And having that family member to really just be down for it and not saying, "Oh, you're just being dramatic. You're just doing too much. You're just looking for attention." It's really good when you have that family member that can recognize when you are overwhelmed and can say, "Hey, let me help you. Tell me what you need. Let's make it happen." So I've had a good experience. Now, we all know that there's some family members you don't want to tell your business to, because then everybody's going to know all your business, and then, now everybody is, "Oh, I heard you was over there just going off and being crazy." And when you get those labels and people start using those labels, all it does is push you right back in your shell, and it makes you just crawl back within yourself.
Hmm.
And then now you back at square one. But
True.
once you start coming out and talking about all the things that you've been through, I feel you kind of develop an armor so that when you have those people that would have those kind of comments, I'm rubber, you're glue. You know what I
True.
mean?
Yeah. But it's like, I don't know. I said for me, yes. I've spoken to family members, um, recent and past. Um, but it's like now, I've spoken to them. They seem more willing to and stuff like that. In the beginning, nah, I don't need no help. But it's like, as I said, it comes down to the person itself, and it comes down to trying to break that. I said a culture thing. It's like
Yeah. Break those
some I'm
stigmas
not. Some
and
people be
cycles.
afraid, or some people are ashamed. At the end of the day,
Well,
it
some people are afraid of being judged too,
true.
because
That's
judgment is a lot.
mainly what it is. Not all the time, but mainly that's what it is. I don't want nobody to feel judge me. Think, as you said, think you're crazy. It's not that.
Mhm.
It's that we use a lot of people use the word crazy because it's easy to say, but what it is, they don't understand you. I don't understand what's going on. So the first thing they're gonna say, "Oh, they're crazy." It's not that. You just don't get it. You don't understand. You know what
It's
I
not
mean?
your struggle, so you don't get it. And you probably don't care enough about me to just sit down and have a real conversation with me to find out what's going on with me in order for you to get it.
Yeah.
There's one show that it's Ratchet TV, but I watch things for particular reasons. It's just mindless entertainment. I know I'm not going to learn anything from it, but there was one young lady, I think it was like Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. Don't judge me for watching it. But anyway, one of the girls, she was having mental health issues. And so she gave her son to the father to raise. And they used that situation and weaponized her mental health care and used it against her and
A
called her a
lot of them
bad
do that.
mother. You don't even take care of your child. And she's like, listen, if I left the boy out in the rain in a basket by the fire station and didn't tell nobody he was out there, or put him in the garbage can, I could understand that you're calling me a bad mother, but I left him with his father so that I can get my mind right, so that I can be a better mother for him. How dare you to judge me on that?
Yeah.
And I was so feeling her in that moment because I'm like, she's right. Why would you weaponize something like that?
Then again, they don't understand.
They don't understand, but they want to they don't have anything else to say about you. So they want to use that one vulnerable moment that you have and
Mhm.
use it against you. And that's what's wrong with the world. And that's why people aren't going to get the mental health care that they need.
Do you remember we talked about that? Is just you got to be careful of who you talk to because yeah, they use it against you. I mean, when we talked
Mhm.
about it in the last episode, we're talking about mental health, where a lot of men don't say nothing for
Yeah.
one main, well, not one reason, but multiple reasons. One of them is you're looked at as you're weak, and
Yep.
society, our current society, look at us as men should not feel any emotions. Men should not be able to speak about the emotions. And that's not true. We're human beings like anyone else.
And we need to
So
normalize that.
true, because I was watching one of my favorite shows, and they go around the country and they have these conversations, right? And the one brother, love this guy to death, and he said exactly what I've been saying is when a male speaks or speak about emotion or shows any sign of emotion, he's criticized. He's
Mhm.
talked down to or down at. And he look at his or showing any, as we say, some feminist side of himself, because that's what people want to call it. It's not. There's no gender of showing emotion. But we look as someone showing emotion as less than a man, right?
Exactly.
Society look and we label him as he acting like a woman, he acting soft like a woman. It's not the case.
Exactly.
But then when a woman
Exactly.
shows emotion, she's still a woman.
It, because that's supposed to be our thing.
And then when he said that, and he
That's
was
supposed to
like,
be our thing. So yeah, we're
but then
okay
it's
if we do it.
yeah. So you're raised in a certain aspect, a certain light, of certain ways how you should be act or betray or not
Those
betray
gender roles.
gender roles, right?
Hmm.
And then he was talking about relationships and aspect about um well, some women, not all, and they want to be involved with the emotionally intelligent male. They say this and say that. This is what they want. But when they actually get in a relationship with the actual male that is emotionally intelligent, has those intelligent emotional conversations, they can't handle it.
Or as I seen on another show, they said, "Oh, I want a manly man." Well, yeah. Why can't he be both? Why can't he be manly and tell you, "Listen, I need a break. I need to
Hmm.
go, whether I need to go and stream or whether I need to go and listen to my music or whether I need to
Yeah,
go and take a motorcycle ride. I
yeah,
need a break. I'm out."
yeah. So let's
Why can't he
fast.
be both? And
Mm,
that just really irritated me that she had said that about him. And I think she really got a lot of backlash for that because it's like, come on, you cannot have it both ways. You cannot say I want a man that can tell me when he's feeling a certain way. And then when you get him, you call him out of his name. You tell,
mhm.
oh, I need a manly man. Well, you want the guys that's gonna go out there and just beat you in your face and show that emotion. I would rather you tell me you verbally feel like beating me in my face than for me to find out after you done black my eyes
Yeah, but
that, you know what,
sometimes,
I was
yeah.
overwhelmed with my day and I just couldn't control my emotions and
Hmm.
I, this is how I get out of it. Well, let's go to a smash room. Let's get you let's get
Some
you an outlet.
And that's what I'm saying. Is like I'm not saying all women. There's men and women. They create this list of things, right? Get rid of the list. So
Please,
get
please,
rid of the
please,
list. So
please.
you can
Meet
have
people where
your
they are.
basic. I'll accept this and not accept this. I'm cool with that. But
Mhm.
they create this, not all, but majority fictitious list. This is what I want. Da, 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 da. I'm not accepting nothing less. But then that person doesn't exist. They're not gonna meet all that list. Not all meet all the
No.
expectations,
And they may
right?
meet it today, and then tomorrow they may have a bad day and they might not meet about 5 or 6 things on that list
Exactly. So that's why I said,
because
like,
life
so
be life and people were
yeah,
people.
yeah. So that's what I said with the content. So we fast forward now into the content creator side of things. I said when I created this, it was for that me time. It was for me to have that peace time from the craziness, right?
Mhm.
But it's like some once again, people will not understand why are you sitting in front of a computer all day. I'm not on a computer all day. I'm just for at least an hour or hour or two for myself. It's
First
like
off.
yeah, some people might I want to watch my show for an hour to give me some peace and quiet. Some people I want to sit in my car for 20, 30 minutes. That's their me time, right? Whatever that me time is, it could be reading a book for an hour, 2 hours. It could be I'm just gonna soak in a tub for an hour and just sip someone. It's whatever you want to make it, right? And in the
Mhm.
day, you're thinking you're doing something for your body, which you are, but you're actually starting with the
The mind.
mind.
Absolutely.
And that's it. So
Absolutely.
so now
And I believe I think a lot of content creators, I think they should start more gearing towards more mental health discussions, because I
Hmm.
feel like the more we talk about it,
Yeah.
the more other people would feel like, okay, maybe I can share what I'm going through too. I mean,
There's a few. I've seen a few of them. I bring up here and there, but it's still like it's a touchy, it's a touchy subject, right?
it is.
Some people like, well, if I do go live with this, would it mess up my community? Would it mess up people? It's just as long as you're being real with yourself and not being fake with it, people will see
Hmm.
that you're being 100. Well, if you're being
Your tribe
100%
will
every
follow
single
you.
time, exactly. So it's
You
like,
always There is a tribe for every person, because the people that don't want to hear you talking about the things that you talk about, they will go somewhere else. But there are people that actually would want to hear that, and it would feed their soul. And those are the people that you really want to create that good
yeah,
content for. Even if you said, okay, I want to talk about mental health today, but I
hmm,
want to talk about mental health from a male perspective, and then the next time I want to talk about mental health from the female perspective.
yep,
I want to talk about mental health from the children's perspective, because they go through a lot of stuff. But you know
they
how we
can't,
grew up, stay in
but
a
they
child's
can.
place.
Yeah, but it's hard for them to express themselves, right? They don't
It is.
understand what it is. So sometimes I can say from my side, it's like the kids when I don't say acting up or just say misbehaving. Sometimes it's like, well, they're just seeking what's the word? Attention.
Mhm.
9 out of 10, yeah, it's true, but it's not. Sometimes it's not in a negative way. It's just they don't
Right.
know how to express it or ask about it. So, like for my
And they
kids,
don't know how to get you to look at them
yeah, because they
and
look at
just
things
hold
differently.
space for them.
Because I've always told my kids, is if you want to talk about anything, just speak to me. Sometimes they shut down automatically because they're scared. I'm like, mom, daddy's gonna be like, man. I sometimes, and recently I've learned to step back a little bit and try to understand from their point of view and figure out what it is. I say, hey, if you want to talk about anything, because I can tell when something's on their mind, right? And it's like, I was like, what is it? And I kind of had to like slowly, gently kind of have them say, "This is what it is." Really? Okay. So let me sit back and kind of listen to what you're saying and what you're telling, so I can feel what you're saying, right?
Exactly.
So it's like it's the same way you do with adult. Sometimes they don't want to say anything to feel that you might be you they might feel attacked eventually, right? But
Yeah.
it's like once you understand and try to understand from their point of view versus your understanding, it gives you that full 360, the full 360 view to kind of get what they're trying to tell you,
Yeah, and you
right?
have to really build that trust with them in order for them to feel like they're like talking to you is a safe space as well. Because
Hmm.
if you don't really build that rapport with them, they're not going to open up. It's going to be
Yeah.
Fort Knox. So, next question: have you all parted ways with certain friends and family members? If so, was the fallout with other people, and did you feel guilty for choosing yourself? I'll go ahead and answer first. That would be yes, yes, and no. Those are my short answers. I have fallen out with family. Um, but the thing is, they say that I'm the toxic person. And it's because when people tell you that, hey, you've done these things, and you're like, okay, let's talk about it. And then they can't bring any receipts. Oh, all of a
Mm,
sudden I'm attacking them. I'm toxic. How am I toxic? Explain to me what that is, because to me toxicity is poison. So you're
yeah.
telling me that I'm poison, and when you interact with me, we have a poisonous interaction. And so I said, you know what? Okay, if you feel that that's what it is and you don't want to elaborate on that, sounds like a you thing, but hey, I'm good. I, like she said, I'm going to choose myself because I'm not going to push myself onto you. And then there are other family members that I've just said, you know what? You do too much over here, and I can't have that in my space, because where I'm trying to go, I'm on a different vibration than you. And
Mhm.
I can't have that type of toxicity in my space because it's going to mess up my energy. And I'm not about matching energy. I'm about protecting mine. I don't
Okay.
need to match your energy because that takes too much energy, you know?
I can see that.
Yeah. I
So
just
like
walk away from it unapologetically. I'm done. Okay, that's how you feel. I'll love you from over here. I still love you, but we
mhm,
can't interact. We can't do one-on-ones. We can't do brunch, we can't do dinners. You're definitely not coming to the house. I'll see you in the streets and say hello, and maybe I'll stop and chit chat and ask you how you and your family is doing, but as for
you do a
us,
head nod, you do a head nod, yeah.
yeah, we couldn't
Keep
even
it
do
going.
that. We're not even gonna fake the funk. I'm not gonna be out and see you and not speak,
Yeah.
but we're definitely not gonna go deep, and I'm definitely not telling you my business.
It's just also like so let me ask the question. So do you think your content creating, which is your baby, your podcast,
Mhm.
helps you mentally?
It does.
Okay.
It does. It does a couple of things for me. One, it allows me to, um, well, I like to talk to people.
Hmm.
And when I feel certain things, like for instance, if I get an argument with someone and I'm here at the house, I need to talk through it.
Yeah.
So when I'm on my podcast, even if it's not my issue, I'm talking through some stuff. So I may not be going through it right away, but I might have been through it. I can relate. And so we're talking through it. So that portion of me that I let go by the wayside for a little bit or put on the back burner, I'm healing that while I'm talking. And another way is I feel like I'm not alone.
Okay.
When I'm talking to these other people, I'm not alone in what I've been going through. I can relate to almost every situation that I've talked about on my podcast. I mean, there's domestic abuse, I mean, except trafficking. I can't I
Hmm.
can't attest to that. That's the one thing that I can't do that I've talked about on my podcast. But I mean, when you go through and you look at all the topics, I mean, overcoming workplace trauma, all
Hmm.
these different things. Who hasn't been traumatized at work?
Yeah.
You know, you're talking about waiting on someone to come into your life. What do you do in that process? What are you doing in that space? You're talking about how do I just become a woman in leadership. Like we talk about a lot of stuff. So it heals different parts of my soul with the content that I produce on my podcast. Because like I said, I mean, listen, I've been on this life for over 50 years now. So I have had a lot of life experience that I can relate to. And
Hmm.
so when I'm in my podcast, it really helps me heal from some of the things that I have been through. And also the key thing for me is it lets me know how much God has covered me,
True. Appreciate the
because
light,
I'm
Brittany.
like, man, I've been through a lot, but I haven't been through that, you know? And so I'm like, okay, because when you always think you're going through a lot of stuff and only you have been going through it. But when you hear other people have gone through all these things, you're like, sheesh.
Man,
Well,
I
let me
have
not
this.
complain about what I've been through.
I have this thing that I've been saying to myself more from last year. It's two things. Don't look. I don't dwell on a negative like I used to anymore, or any
Hmm.
situation. Right? I don't look at it as a negative anymore. I always try to strive to look at it as a learning lesson. It's number one. Number two, why wake up being pissed off at the world, thinking you have the worst going on in your life? There's someone that has it worse than you.
Hmm.
So those are two things I live by. I started last year, and it has allowed me to mold me how I am now. I'm not professional in anything. Is I can say I've look at things differently. I don't
Yeah.
let things bother me like it used to. I've learned my triggers, and I can tell in most cases when the trigger is about to happen, and I can avoid them, especially in the conversations where I can see if it's going to trigger me to bring the old me out. I professionally or kindly say, "Hey, let's end this conversation. Let's talk about
So
this
how
another
did you
time."
get to that point where you can feel the trigger coming on and be like, let's put a pin in this and talk about this later? And how is that received?
back to seeking professional help.
Well, there you go.
Seeking professional help. It's you can try and strive to do everything by yourself. I'm not saying it's not possible,
Mhm.
but when you do find that person that helps you get to that level of wanting peace,
Mhm.
stick with it.
Yeah.
It's very uncomfortable to get that to that mindset. It takes time. It takes each person is different. Some people might get there quicker. Some people might take longer. But the key thing that helped me a lot is when I stopped working and I was by myself and was able to focus on myself and then block all the outside noise out.
Mm.
The content creating thing part of it is what helped me. So times where I felt that I was getting depressed, I was getting stressed out, and I felt like, I'll be honest, felt like I didn't want to be here. This is what helped me.
Wow.
This right here. And thinking about my kids and stuff like that, my family. It's like I have to do two parts of it. I have to make sure I'm 100 on a day-to-day basis to make sure my mindset is good, my peace is good, and my happiness is good for me,
Right.
right? Not saying you're being selfish, but you have to be able to work for yourself to be better for yourself first, to be able to be better for anyone else. But
Absolutely.
it's your responsibility first for you. Everyone else on the outside will not understand that in most cases, right? Why is he not saying nothing? Why is keeping to himself all the time? Sometimes we need that,
Yeah.
right? So that's why the content creator thing is what is very dear to me because it helps so much. And this is me talking personally, right? So COVID triggered everything. Yes, number one, everyone had to be home.
Oh, yeah. I was
Everyone had,
loving it.
so it's like it was different. I was like, damn, I gotta work from home. But then it gave me much more free time, even though I was still working from home. I had those big gaps where I had nothing to do. So scrolling through Facebook, and then boom, and it popped up. Oh, what's this? I said, oh, saw a brother. Um, his nickname online is Rasta La Vista. Young, younger than us. His name is Javon, or something like that. His legal name. In the Navy full time, and he was streaming part time. Right on top of his thing, it says National Suicide Hotline. I was like, huh,
Mm.
that's interesting. Never seen that before. And I was scrolling through Facebook, looking at other content creators. His channel keep popping up every time. So I decided to follow him so I can get notification when he go live.
Mhm.
And one day someone asked him the question, what is this about? And he went real without it. And there's one thing I like about him. He don't sugarcoat number one. He's truthful number two. And he speaks his mind, with regardless if you like it or not. I said, okay, hold on. I'm liking his content. So
Yeah.
people start asking questions, and he thought he was real about it. He said, yes, at one point I was suicidal. He said, I'm not gonna lie about it. It was a big thing. I was struggling back in the day. Right? He was able to get out that realm. And he realized it's more people in the world like me in the military and not in the military. So that's the first time he paused what he was doing and he spoke. And you could tell he was actually legit about it.
Yeah.
So that captured me on top of course he was a brother. And he's doing wait a minute, he's doing what he loves. He's playing video games and getting paid for it.
But he's
That
also spreading a good message.
a good message.
And that's the importance of content creation is what is your
Exact.
intent with this content that you're creating? What do
So
you
he's
want the people to take away from it? How do you want them to feel while you're sharing your stories?
yeah,
You
so
know,
he's
and
being vulnerable. He was being vulnerable in the moment, but at the end of the day, he did not care how you viewed him at that point moving forward. He was still being genuine himself. You know what I mean? So it's
Absolutely.
like through him is where I met. I ain't calling a name now. I'm gonna tell you, was a special guest. You know who I'm talking about. Through
Mhm.
him, that's how I met him.
Mm. Okay.
And through him, I met other content creators. So you see, it's that network.
Yeah.
But if you look, and there's a lot of us out there that's in the content creator side of things where I will go on their stream and watch them here and there. But if they're not capturing to me from one to continue watching them, I move on to the next. Nothing against them. Because some of them are just
Just
on
not
there.
your niche. Yeah.
Yeah. Some of them are just on there. Right. And
Yeah.
he's the first one to said, if you're going to get into the content creating world just to make money, you're not going to be successful.
No. You
So
focus on
he
the
said
wrong things.
exactly. And so he was the first one I've seen where it makes sense to me and it was truthful. If you do what you love, that's all that matters. Right. So that it's great. So like that's how I got into it. Then meeting our special guest. Well, once he gets back in town, we're bringing him back in, and I was able to talk to him one on one and try to get a better understanding. Then I met another brother from St. Martin. His name is
Okay.
Shine, content creator as well. And then the list goes on. I met other people from Jamaica, people from Barbados, from Illinois, Florida, and it's a small. It's still big, but it's still a small group of minority content creators that are legit, genuine content creators. There's a lot of them, but a
Yeah.
lot of them are into it because they love to do what they do, create content. If you get
Yeah.
awarded on the back end by gain more followers, more community, whatever, gain sponsorship, whatever. If that comes, it comes. But don't focus on that, right?
Absolutely.
But if you talk to quite a few and they ask different questions, most of them would say they got into it because of the mental side of things. It was their space of them to be themselves, their
Yeah,
space where
relief.
they can exactly. And
Mm.
that's what it was for me, right? So the first time I did a video podcast was last year, November, October timeframe, if I remember right.
Mhm.
It was in going to the month of Movember, which is considered for men's stuff, and I got into that. It was you remember you were part of it? Was you?
Mhm. No, I don't think so.
No, no, no. Oh, it was me. Daryl,
Mhm.
the other Jay.
Oh, yeah. I was a part of that.
You was part of yeah, you were there. So
That
that's
was the
so
first one we
the
did.
first one we did, and it's like I've always been putting it off, putting it off, putting it off. And it's like that first episode. Well, it's still considered an unofficial candid conversation, but it was the first video podcast we did. It went as far as New Zealand,
Wow.
and I had the one guy message me from my community. He said, "You don't know how much you guys helped me that day." Just to hear that, to see that message, is
Yeah.
it we. I myself, of course, with you guys' help, we hit that goal. We was able to at least, I know, help one person, and he was in New Zealand. Rewind before that, when I used to get up at this is how my schedule was. I work all day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Caterpillar, and then Friday night I would go live. Saturday mornings between 4 and 7 I would go live, and then Saturday night, and then Sunday morning. That was my
So in
schedule.
those videos, what are you talking about?
So that one was what we talked about. The other times I go live is just
Mhm.
me streaming games. Right? My
Okay.
go-to was at the time, it's called ATS, it's American Truck Simulator. It's actually trucking and stuff like that I love. It's a peaceful game. It's no getting pissed off because somebody killed you or whatever. It's more of a peaceful thing, but it forced you to have conversations.
Oh,
That's what I loved
really?
about it. Yeah, so I had to learn how to talk, even though nobody wasn't there. You know what I mean? Just talk about different things on my mind. So it's more of me venting. And if someone comes in and it captures their interest, then they'll start having conversations, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it got to a
And
point.
sometimes it's easier to talk to a stranger than to talk to people you know.
Mhm. I remember there was a guy, I have to look his name up. It's been a while. He was in a hospital for a couple months. He logged in every morning. I went live on Saturday and Sunday and jumped in my stream every morning, those 2 days of the week. and we didn't have a full blown conversation while I'm alive.
Mm,
While he's in the hospital, couldn't go nowhere. And he
wow.
said it. He's like, man, you know how much you helped me. I look forward to watching your stream, and we have our conversations. We talk about different trucks. We talk about the different Caterpillar engines of the different. It's a full blown conversation about trucks and equipment. So he said it. He said, you helped me through my hospital stays. That's it.
I
And
mean,
then
that's
when
what
he
it's all about, though.
exactly. So that's why I tell people, if you're passionate about something and you have the opportunity to do it, do it.
Do it.
Your
Yeah.
spouse may not understand, your kids may not understand, your family may not understand, or your friends may not understand. But long as it's something that makes you happy and you're passionate about, my suggestion is do it. And people say, well, I'm too old. It's never too old
You're
to do
never too
anything
old,
you want to
and
do.
do it for yourself because
Exactly.
you don't know who you're you don't know who you're helping,
Yeah.
you know?
That's it. As long as
Somebody could be
you're
trying to
going
kill
in,
themselves that day,
as long as
and
you're going
they just
with
heard
the
your
right mindset.
encouraging words, and you changed their mind. You literally
Mhm.
talked them off the ledge.
Yep. And then so like that's how a lot has changed for me. So like as I got in and a few years back, got into the content side of things, right? But last year, a lot of people don't
Mhm.
realize um the fashion thing kicked in for me last year.
Uh,
Of all
did you say
things, yeah.
fashion?
Fashion,
Okay.
yes. Um, I fell in love with fashion. I used to dress a certain way all the time because I was uncomfortable with myself.
Mhm.
And then I realized because in my mind, I've like I'm being judged, and I'll be honest, I never thought I was a physically a good looking person. I struggled with that for years. I'm not afraid to admit it. But it's like I said, like last year, a lot has changed for me. And I realized that's when that self care, self love, and start looking at yourself and more and realize, you know what, who else is gonna love me more than me?
That part right there, and that's powerful. And that's powerful because, just like you, when I was growing up, I mean, people used to bully me and they
Mm,
used to call me olive oil and they used to make these Popeye sounds and I was just hair and legs when I was younger. And they'd pull my hair, they'd tell me how skinny I was. And, I love that show right up until,
mhm.
and that just stayed with me and it just made me so body conscious, you
It's
know?
true, but it's like it's so for one of my things. So a lot of people don't know, but if they go on my page, Facebook page, they would see it. Um, I've gained a little bit of weight back, but I set myself last year. I said I need to get back to where I used to be. I know I'm not gonna get way back where I used to be. It's like I wanted to get where I was comfortable with myself.
Mhm.
Right? I was 348 pounds. A lot of people didn't realize that because I'm tall.
Right. They're like, "Oh, that's all
348
muscle."
pounds. Mm-mm. 300 pounds. I was uncomfortable. Just just being not loving myself. Right? I've done it once when in Georgia, and I see, you know what, I want to start doing it again. Once again, being able to be home for a while, it was able to allow me to kind of look at myself in different ways, right? So I started a journey again and just watch what I eat. And it's just that simple. Didn't worry about no gym or something like that. So I was 348 pounds last year, April. And then, let me see, this time, I said beginning of January ish, I was 246 pounds. 46?
Wow.
46. Yeah, I lost a lot of weight. So now, before I started,
How'd you
I
do it
lost,
though?
just watch what I ate. That's all it is. So I'm a
That's
starchy
it. And
guy.
watch what time you ate.
That too, but mainly just watch what I was eating. So my kryptonite is starches. I love
Yeah.
starch. And if you learn
Pasta,
about starch, starch turns into sugar.
sugar,
So
yeah.
if you are drinking a bunch of sugar, you add sugar on top of sugar. And then that's how I
And
used
your
to gain a
liver
lot of
does not
weight.
like that.
Yeah.
Your liver
So
health is very important.
I chose to like, you know what? I want to start doing this from. So I started losing weight and I was able to um was to start looking at different clothes and go to different regular stores now.
Mhm.
And the more I started losing weight, I had to buy more clothes. And the place I used to go to, which is like this, that sell this, so DXL is for men, big, tall men. Their clothes quality is great, but
Mhm. They're expensive.
you're paying some
You
pennies.
already know. You're coming straight out of pocket.
But their clothes last long, right? So then I started losing more weight now, which now means I don't have to go to that store no more. I can go to regular stores now. So um last year, I was planning to go different trips here and there. I was talking to somebody, it's like, hey, you should check out Fashion Nova. I thought Fashion Nova was just for women.
Mm-mm. I wish they sell everything. I have some beautiful
And I
things.
was like, okay, I'll look into it. And I was like, yeah, I started trying to shop. And it's like, I never really shop for myself to match different things because I was so used to just dressing a certain way because
Mhm.
no one cared what I looked like. That's what I thought. So I started buying a few pieces here and there. I was able to buy a couple stuff. And then my self-conscious myself is like, okay, I love me now. I'm starting to love myself a little bit more now. And I started dressing differently just to see it. I was like, oh shoot, okay, okay. So it's
You're like, "I'm back."
yeah. So I was like, I was loving this new me, but I was doing it for me,
Yeah.
right? But it's like when end of the year last year, started going on a weight wise, and then some people thought I was on something. It wasn't. It's just
And why is that always the
man,
assumption?
it was like, "Oh, are you taking something or this
Folks
and
are just
that?"
on their
It
journeys.
is a few people have said that. I'm like, but I never hold it against them, right? I said, "No, it's just I'm just doing it for me." So now, as I look back into like mid last year, end of last year, in the beginning of this year, and I'm looking at different things. So I've got approached a few times, and hey, you should look into modeling. I was like,
Mm.
modeling, nah, ain't for me. And it kept happening. So I said, you know what? I said, what is it I should do? They say you should start taking pictures of yourself in different wardrobes and start posting them here and there to see different captions, right? I've got hit up a few times on social media by like well-known people that's well connected and say, hey, we're lacking your content, blah, 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 blah. So back to our topic, content. Content
Content.
doesn't have to be this video. It doesn't have to be just podcast. It's content. You're creating content in fashion. You're creating content in podcasting. You're creating
Yeah.
content
You're
in
an
video gaming.
influencer.
Yeah. So it's like I remember a few messages I got was like, it's like for on and wheel back again to the male side of things, right? You see more of different genres. You've seen more of younger ages doing stuff like that, right? But I never really see from my age up doing it, right?
Mhm.
So I said, you know what, it don't hurt to try. So I started, capturing different moments of me. I'm getting ready for work, and then I would create that aspect of it. Or on my lunch break, I would take pictures next to my car. Um, different different things that captured me for me. And I started posting them. And then it just it took off where I started seeing other individuals. This is one guy in Houston. I think that's where he lives. I forgot his name. And he's like in his 60s, 50s. And that's what he does. He created an
Yeah.
organization and stuff like that. So I will watch them for motivations of like, okay, so he mixed that color scheme with this, and I kind of like that. I said, do I have something similar to that? Would it look much? So it kind of let me look into things. So now I got into the content creator side of fashion, right? Which I love. And then I had an opportunity to quote unquote submit an application to a particular group of males. And I was like, oh, so now I'm being
Well, all
seen
right.
by other individuals and stuff like that.
Right.
And so most of my clothes now is from Fashion Nova Male. Like 80% of my wardrobe is Fashion Nova Male.
Yeah, they have really quality clothes,
Yeah.
the high
So
end, It
yeah.
says
So
Fashion
now
Nova on it, but I don't worry about it.
I don't either. It's like, but for
Yeah,
me,
the
it's my pocket.
quality.
It's my
Yeah,
pocket.
you
so
get really good quality clothes for a
so
reasonable price,
yeah. So
and
now
their sales
that
be banging.
they do. So my last stuff I ordered, right? Um, they reached out. I was like, is it legit or not? So I looked it up. It was a legit contact, and they say, hey, we noticed you purchased. We haven't noticed you haven't purchased in a while. So yeah, because I didn't need any clothes. But they wanted me to showcase anytime I was wearing them to tag them on it. So that's what I've been doing.
Mm.
So now the
So that
goal
stuff is
is
really real? Hmm,
at least
interesting.
sponsorship. Yeah. So now it's like the last order I did was from my birthday. I just came from when I went to Cancun. All my clothes was from them for my trip.
Okay.
I got a bunch of stuff back, like discount codes here and there. Like, but the goal is to at least get some sort of sponsorship because that's what they say they want me to keep, tagging them or whatever. Is to get some sort of sponsorship where I can continue doing that because I love it. But I've always, as I said, I got into the context of things. I've always wanted to encourage or try to motivate men, which is nothing wrong with
Mhm.
that, but anyone. But I've always put these messages in my captions, and it's like I think it was a few months ago. I said, believe it or not, I only got into fashion last year, loving the fashion of last year, and I realized it's like people dress how they feel,
Yeah.
right? So if you see me dress a certain way, is how I feel for the day. If I feel like wearing this particular color, I feel like wearing this particular color. If you look how I used to dress in back in the day, I never wore bright clothes, bright color clothes. It was always dark, always black or dark blue or gray. That's
So now
most
you're
of the time.
switching it up.
Now I got I wear this, I wear light pink, hot pink, yellow.
Listen,
I like bright
we come
colors.
from a colorful culture, so you should be
But
celebrating
I
that.
was always uncomfortable about it though, because I would always think of how
That's the
people.
truth.
But now I don't give two hoots if you.
Because those colors, they draw attention to you too. And
Hmm.
in my situation, I never wanted to draw attention to myself because I always feel like people are just gonna judge me. They're gonna, when you're bullied, some things just stay with you,
Yeah.
so it makes you so self-conscious, and then you start thinking, okay, do they like me? Do they like me? Or do they just, they're tolerating me? It just makes you feel like you're not valued. And,
Yeah. But
but I
once you
love that
get,
I
but
love that
once you,
you're really loving yourself. I think you should
oh yeah,
make this slogan, men need self-love too,
oh yeah,
and
man.
put that on all your captions. Put that
Last
on all
year,
your things.
last year my month. You know what I did for my month for July? For the first time, your boy went every. I think not every was every other week. I went to get a manicure pedicure.
Hey
Man,
now.
hey, I was let me try this out. I was like, for every it wasn't every day, but every week I did something for myself. So I
Mhm.
did that. I go out here and there. I went to different restaurants, tried different foods, and I started meeting people. If a lot of people don't know me, I used to be known as a shy individual. Never talk much, never say much, right? Because I felt that people would not like me because of how I talk, how I pronounce things, and whatever.
Yeah.
That's the way it was back in the day, because I was like being ashamed or just didn't want to be embarrassed or embarrass the person with.
I just didn't wanna be bothered because, as you
Yeah.
know, we have accents. We come from the Virgin Islands, and then once people hear your accent, then you have a
It,
barrage of
it,
stupid
it,
questions that comes behind that. So it's like, if
it
I just
was
don't talk, then they don't have to ask me those things.
it was that, but it's not still that. So that's what I'm saying. I'm very outspoken about myself, right? So looking at my kids based on what they went through and what they're going through now, meaning how speech situations, right? So I've learned
Mhm.
about being artistic. I've learned about what's the word? What's the other words? I think it being on the L. Not
Mm.
artistic.
Not ADHD or anything.
No,
Begin with an L.
I think you have issues trying to pronounce words. Damn, it just went on my mind.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
I forgot what it is. So I realized I suffer from those things and didn't know.
Mm,
Right. So it's gonna come to me after a
dyslexia.
while. Yes.
Dyslexic.
So dyslexic. So you see, I
Mm.
can't even pronounce it. So that put some shame on me. I don't at this point, I don't give two hoots if people look at me differently. I don't care no more. I really
Mhm.
don't. But you know my career in Caterpillar from where I
Mhm.
started to where I got to. So being able to prove that you can get where you want to get, regardless if you have a disability or not, it can happen. Right. So for me, school was always an issue for me, but I didn't understand what it was. Right. I get bored quick. I can't sit down in front of a professor and have them lecture. I would like, I'm more of a hands on person. Right.
Mhm.
So he or she can have the class, whatever it is. I'll be sitting in the class, but then I will go home and go back over what he or she was saying for me to understand.
Right.
Now, if you put the paper in front of me to give me the exam, I'll flunk it. Doesn't mean I didn't know the material. It just means when it comes to writing it down, it's just jumble up for me.
Yeah.
Now, if
Yeah.
you ask me the questions, I'll answer them just like that.
Yeah.
Right. So that was part of it growing up, even in adults when I was younger, adult times. Like that's some of the reason why I didn't want to talk to people because they would hear me. My speech is slightly different, or I don't pronounce certain words because it's hard for me to pronounce them. Same thing, we have our management meetings, right? What was the
Mhm.
one thing they always say? Based on the level of seniority, based on the level of management meeting, everything is such high level, right?
Mhm.
When I did my meetings, I don't do high end level PowerPoints. I keep it
Straight and simple.
straightforward because people learn differently. I have to learn that.
Yeah.
So now it's like I tell people, don't worry if you quote unquote have a disability or whatever. Is don't let that deter you from what you want to do in life. Don't let that deter you from what you want to be in life,
Yeah.
right?
Don't let
So
it
it's not,
define you.
don't let
Yeah.
it define you. So it's like,
Yeah.
I am I knowledgeable everything about everything? No. I only can talk what I understand. If I don't know, I can find out.
Exactly.
That's it. So yeah. So back to content creating is so vast, right? Content creating, like I said, is streaming. Content creating could be your podcast. Content creative, you taking videos and editing and making effects without it. So you're capturing their moments or taking pictures, right?
Absolutely.
Um, and be able to edit different things and show it to the world from your point of view,
And of
right?
course, make sure you spread your message. And I did put the link to my podcast in the chat,
Mhm.
just so that folks can actually see the kind of content that is being created on Save Our Sisters Unplugged, because there's a lot that folks go through like this, like I said, that they don't feel safe talking about. And when you're
Yeah.
creating that type of content, and especially on my platform where people share a lot of deep rooted, deep seated issues, secrets, things that have happened to them, and most of them are traumatic. Like I said, I mentioned that trafficking one because I think that was the most impactful um, podcast episode I did, where she was talking about being trafficked. And not only that, is like what she went through. She's such a great storyteller. Just Rich is her name. She's such a great storyteller that when she was telling that story, I felt like I was there with her. And the
Mhm.
the most impactful part of that was when she was sharing a story of when she was in a room, her friend was in a room, their pimp gave them a quota, they had to meet that quota, and they didn't meet it. And her friend got shot right in the next room. She
Mhm.
heard it. She heard her friend fall, and then the pimp came back and said, "Listen, that's your fault. You didn't make sure she met the quota." And so, of
Mhm.
course, she met her quota after that. That's a wake-up call. So the things that, of course, there's a trigger warning on that because, we don't want people to just come into it unprepared. We want you to know that, listen, you might be triggered. This thing is very graphic. It has a lot of things in here that people go through that might be triggering. But it's real stuff. This is people's real life that we're talking
Mm,
about. This is their real experience. And so she talked about how she got in. She talked about what she did when in there, how she got out, and where she is today. And so now she travels the world sharing her story. So
that's good.
when you yeah, and that's why I chose that, because women have been silenced for so long, and we need to stop holding in the things that are happening to us. We need to stop protecting our abusers. We need to start using our voices. We need to band together. We need to create spaces where we can just share what we've been through so that other people know that it doesn't have to always be dark. There is light at the end of the tunnel. You can get through it. And let me
Mm,
show you what I did, you know?
yeah,
And I think that is very important because there's fight in every person.
true.
Sometimes they just don't know how to come out of it on their own. They need that pull or push. So that's the platform that I create.
There you go. There you go. You
Yeah.
create that content, and the goal is at least try to help. As I said, at least one person out of it every time you post, anytime you go live, or whatever we want to call it. But at the end of the day, when we, as certain people, we're using our real life experiences and
Hmm.
struggles to use ourselves as an example. And we're not looking for any praise, but just use ourselves as an example to help someone. That's it.
And
You know
the
what I mean?
acronym for Save Our Sisters is SOS. And as we know,
Hmm.
SOS means help. And
Yep.
so that's the reason why I want to help women of all ages, young girls. I mean, we're talking about the tweens, the teens, all of them, all
Yep.
females. We want to make sure that they're good, that they're tapping into their source, and that they're
Mm,
seeking that mental health. If you can't do it on your own, by all means, seek professional help. All of
yep.
your employers now, they offer they offer health plans. A
Yep.
mental health package might be in there. Most of them include it,
Yeah,
so
they
we
should.
just
Most
want
of them
people to
should
just
have
be
it. Yeah.
okay. Yeah,
And that's it. But you
yeah.
have to take that first leap of
You have to
seek,
acknowledge.
acknowledge, and seek the help. I
Absolutely.
can try to hold your hand and bring you and show you. But at the end of the day, you have to make that step. You
As
know
I
what I
say,
mean?
you can
So
lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
exactly.
Man, Clive, we even went over the little hour that we had planned for this.
Yeah. Yeah. But appreciate you, of course, Noreen, my co-host. But
Oh, absolutely.
we had some activity today. We had few questions in there. We had quite a few viewers actually. I mean, that's what you see me kind of like back and forth. Um,
Mm.
so we had some traffic today, which is great.
That's good
Um,
because then that means that, people are sitting back and listening, and hopefully that they're taking it all in and they're taking
yep.
action and seeking the help that they need, because at the end of the day, even though today we're talking about content creation,
Hmm.
the preface of this podcast is candid conversations centered
Yep.
around mental health. And
Yep.
if we're not in our right mind, and we can't, our body and spirit, is just going to follow suit.
Yep.
And we want to be able to keep our self-care, our self-love, and mental health care is part of our self-care. And so we really want to save those spaces. And I love that you actually go out and get your mani pedis done. And a lot of men would look at that as less than masculine. But listen, mind your business, do what you want to
Uh,
do, but don't judge me for doing what I'm doing.
that you just do what makes you
Do what makes you
happy.
happy, do
That's
what makes you
it.
feel good,
Yeah, I used to get
you know?
my hand, feet done. I used to get massages every week, every other week, man.
My massages they ain't cheap now, but I know I definitely need to tap into my sis and get me one scheduled, because
Yeah, it depends
I
on where you
mean,
go though.
I
So
might
like
need a
if
chair like yours.
oh yeah. But yeah, it depends on where you go. But if where you live don't offer variety of that, then yeah, they can charge what they want to charge. But based on where
Absolutely.
I'm at, there's a bunch of them everywhere, so you can afford to find something that's not expensive, but
Absolutely. Yeah, you can even go in the mall and get you a nice little massage. I mean, they'll get you right. Well, I
because
think we
I
gave the people a lot to think about today, Clive. What you think?
did. I think we did. But as I said before, even though we may not be on live anymore, and you guys happen to look at these stream after the fact, you can still comment on there. At least Facebook make that change now. You can still comment after we are no longer live,
And
so we can
ask your questions, and because
still
then that
ask
way
questions.
we can gather the questions up, and we can answer them in the next stream.
But the goal is to eventually go live on the new channel. I'm still multi-streaming out so everyone can still capture it. But the goal is to go over to the Candid Conversation Facebook page. Eventually, we'll just strictly be there. But I've noticed, people still kind of look at the different channels. So I'll still do the multi-stream for us. But remember, guys, eventually we're just going to be streaming on one channel eventually. But the goal is to get to that point, but I don't think we're there yet.
Yep. So subscribe
But
to the page.
yep, go over there, forward, or shall we say share.
Yes.
You can actually forward it to yourself and text it to people, which I did this week. But yeah, just remember, it's always try to seek help, always try to understand yourself,
Yeah,
and try
absolutely.
to. People can give you opinion, but at the end of the day, each person's life aspect, each person's journey is different. You
Yeah,
have to understand and figure out what you want to do for yourself. And in the day, it's your decision what you want to do with yourself. That's it.
absolutely.
So,
And for all those folks that are ready to share, the women that are ready to share their stories on the Save Our Sisters Unplugged podcast, the link is there. Please DM me, Save Our Sisters 2020 at gmail.com. On all the things, it's at Save Our Sisters on Instagram. Was it at Save Our Sisters underscore 2020 on
mhm,
Instagram? We're on LinkedIn, Facebook group. Join the Facebook group. YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube page. I'm going to be utilizing that platform more often, but definitely join the Facebook group, Save Our Sisters SOS group. That's where I live most of all. Not only do we share things about the podcast, but we have a lot of inspirational things too. And then for those folks that live in the Peoria, Illinois area, all the things that are going on in the community, we definitely share those things as well. So, subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Share it with your friends and rate and review. And listen, let me know what you're thinking about the episodes because I feel like
mhm,
that's important. I would love to hear people's feedback on that because
mhm.
um it just lets me know if I'm on the right track. And if you want to hear a particular episode, let me know that too. Because some people listen to podcasts to see, okay, well, what is this person sharing?
Yeah,
In order for them to feel like, okay, maybe I'm ready. She shared that. Okay, maybe I'm ready now to share what I've been through.
yeah,
So,
it's
so
good.
thank you guys for watching.
All right. As always, my little thing at the end, everything. Stay safe, stay blessed, and we catch you next time.
All right. Peace and blessings.
Man.